Today I'm going to be taking a look at a fan kit by GiM. I'm not sure if you pronounce that GiM or Jim. If anybody knows, let me know in the description below. But anyways, this particular fan has a kind of a unique RGB design on it, which is why I thought I'd take a look at it. It includes 320 millimeter RGB fans. Each of these fans is rated from 0 to 1300 RPMs, which seems a bit on the low side, but we'll take a look at that and see how that functions. Each one has a 6-pin RGB fan control connector, which is typical of fans in this range. You know, kind of the more inexpensive kits all include that. The controller has room for 10 fans if you want to add additional fans to it. Also includes 2 ports for LED strips. It does have a SATA power connection, which is kind of a nice touch. I like that. Has a port for a reset switch, which means you can connect your reset switch to change the lighting on it. I kind of like that feature. But also has a port for motherboard sync to control your lighting through like Aura Sync, for example. It does include a RGB cable, which of course has the data connection to the controller. Then it has the standard 3-pin RGB connection and a little pigtail with the 3-pin VDG connection for like gigabyte motherboards. Also includes a remote to change the lighting sequences, change your fan speeds, brightness, you know, the mode. Fairly typical, but we'll take a look at that. Also includes the screws to attach each fan and included instruction books. So let's get those connected up and we'll take a look at how the RGB looks. So the cable length is not extremely generous. It should work on most basic cases, but I can see on some larger cases, depending on what your controller is, this might be kind of a limited amount of cable. So keep that in mind. The rear hub of the fan, I think it's got a pretty sharp look. So it's not an ultra durable fan, but again, I think they did a nice touch with the rear of it. Okay, so we've got this all connected up and the power applied to it. The first thing you'll notice is that the controller itself does have some RGB elements to it, which I think is kind of a nice touch. If it's a controller that you're going to see in your case, that's awesome. Most of the controllers for 23 bucks don't have that function, so kind of a nice addition to this. Obviously for the fan speed you can turn it off, and then it's got a fan plus and minus button. With the fan speed I don't see any stepping, so it seems to me like it's just off and on. 0 or 1300, those are the only 2 speeds available. The rest of the buttons on here, it's got the motherboard sync mode, which allows you to then connect it to like Aura Sync. We'll check that out in just a minute, but standard 3-pin connection. It's got a DIY mode, which the documentation really sucks on. It is not clear at all what that means. And so what I've discovered that it means is it's got an auto function where if you press auto on the remote, it goes kind of through its lighting functions one after another. If you find one you like, there's an add DIY and a delete DIY. So if you add that particular mode with the add DIY button, if you go back and click the DIY button, you can then cycle through only those modes. So it's a way for you to pick out the modes that you like, but the documentation could have been way better written to explain that function, and I'm really honestly not sure how often I would use that. The mode plus, minus, when you're in the auto function, you can kind of flip through those. It's got speed forward and back. Obviously it's going to change the speed of the lighting function. So it's got brightness controls up and down. They seem to work okay. Doesn't seem like there's a wide range in it, but there is a little bit. And then it's got 4 hotkeys: white, red, green, blue. White, red, green, and blue. So you can just quickly choose some colors. So it's also got a couple of music modes in here. There's no connectivity to your motherboard, so the yellow button at the bottom, the music mode number 1, if you press it, it just simply kind of responds to the ambient sound. Yeah, the microphone's got to be on the controller somewhere. It's fairly sensitive, as you tap. I don't know how sensitive it'll be in a case when you get it all wound up, and I think maybe it'll just capture some ambient noise inside, but you could try it. It looks kind of cool. Mode number 2, it's kind of the same thing, but it's kind of got this twirling function, kind of interesting. Mode number 3, just demonstrated on the screen here, it kind of breathes in and out. So yeah, so the documentation says to hit the music mode button 1, a long press of 3 seconds puts it into a 1-to-1 mode, and other controllers cannot control the fan. And then on music mode 3 button, long press to cancel that. It gives no definition of what 1-to-1 mode is. If anybody knows, put it in the description below. I'm not going to spend any time trying to figure out exactly what it means, and I just do not know. I haven't even Googled it. So anyways, if I find out, I will put that in the description below. Okay, so I plugged in a reset switch here, just a spare one I had laying around, and the pins, it was kind of hard to get that switch on there. The pins are just almost kind of flush with the plastic, just a kind of a little bit of a quality issue there, but bent them up just a little bit and it connects right up. But it works good. The interrupt switch controls it, changes the sequences, so good function to have. I like that. So pressing the motherboard button on the remote puts it into the motherboard sync mode, and I've got Auric effects opened up. We'll just run through a couple of those. Seems like it's detected it. I've got purple selected right now. We'll just change it to a different color. We've got green, purple, looks good. Just go through breathing. Breathing looks good. Strobing and Starry Night. Kind of a cool effect. So, bottom line is the motherboard sync option works just good. Okay, so to get it out of motherboard sync mode, just press the motherboard sync button again. I had to kind of fidget with it a little bit, but you know, once you hit that, then you can get it back to the controller. So, all right, well, that is a quick look at the GiM controller and fan kit. There's got a couple things going for it. One is the price at $23.77, which is what I think I paid for it. It's one of the cheapest ones I've looked at. It's got a couple of cool features, the ability to hook up your reset switch, or just any 2-pin interrupt switch will work just fine. But that's kind of a nice touch at this price point. The ability to hook up 10 fans is pretty cool. Even though this one only comes with 3, you can add additional ones to it. The ability to sync with your motherboard, so RS sync, anything with a standard 3-pin RGB connection will work fine. It's also got the VDG 3-pin gigabyte pigtail on it. SATA power connection is nice. The fact that it's got RGB in the controller is kind of a nice touch. It's got these sound abilities in it, which I don't think are really useful to most people. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like the attempt at adding the DIY function, even though I think for most people it's just not going to be something that's really functional. But if you want to go through there and add just a couple of specific sequences, at least it's there. It's something you can do. I personally won't be using it. But the only cons to it are really the speed control. I think it's on and off. But really, if this is an aesthetic that you're going for, you like the design of it, and if cooling is not going to be your primary function with it, go for it. For the price, it's hard to beat it. It's got a couple of cool features. Anyways, as always, if there's something I missed, something you want to know, put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer those to the best of my ability. So anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.